Tua plays every game, the Dolphins will win the AFC East. Something that we haven't talked about a lot here. Is that an overreaction? The only reason why I say that is because here, all we've talked about is Aaron Rodgers and the Jets Super Bowl contender. So, Tim, if Tua stays healthy, it's Miami, a Super Bowl contender. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with Dan on that. I think they would be. Look, you just look at the additions on defense, including defensive coordinator. You look at the talent, as Dan mentioned, that they have at the skill positions around Tua. How Tua played last year. You think about it. A year ago, we were talking about, can he throw it far enough down the field to use these wide receivers? He proved that he can play at a high level.
So let me be the first person, well, probably not the first person, but let me be a person who stands behind his word. I think today, at the start of minicamp, let's remove the if label from Tua. Let's no longer say if healthy. Let's put everything on the table. Let's lay all the cards out in front of us just where they are. Let Tua be just like any other athlete. We saw the Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics, and all we heard was if Jason Tatum didn't get hurt in Game 7, the Boston Celtics could have beat the Miami Heat. If. I, for one, am ready now to let the kid, let the chips fall wherever they may. You are the starting quarterback of an NFL team. Don't worry about the jiu-jitsu stuff anymore. Let's not worry about what happened last year. You are going to be solely graded, Tua, on your performance starting today through next, hopefully, February. That's it. Tua showed that he could be, quote, an MVP caliber quarterback. So if he can be an MVP caliber quarterback, we don't say, if he was MVP. We just say he was doing well until he got hurt. No more assumptions. Let's go with Tua is the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. And until something happens, just grade him every single day, every single game as the quarterback that he is. I bet you're surprised as hell that coming from me, right? You think I've been dogging a kid for the last 5 or 6 months. Now I've just been calling it as I see it. But now we're entering into a new season. And just like when I began my videos last season, I said, give the kid a chance. I say kid because he's 24, 25 years old. I don't mean any disrespect. He's still a kid as far as I'm concerned. Let's give him his full due respect that he's going to be the quarterback that everybody believes he can be, including me. I'm no longer going to put any labels on if healthy. This is it. Minicamp opens today. It's time for Tua to be that dude. Not partly, not for 14, 12, 10, 11 games, to be that dude for the whole season. Is that fair? If I stop saying if healthy, do you guys understand he's going to be judged on his performance the entire season? If he does great in game 1, I'm going to applaud him. I'm going to talk him up. If he does great in game 2, I'm going to applaud him. I'm going to talk him up. If he shits the bed in game 3 or game 4, I'm going to let you know about it. So that's the deal. If you want me to come clean and say, just judge him right now. I don't care about stats from last year. I hate going onto Twitter and see people posting all these doggone pictures from what happened in videos from last year and these tweets talking about the left arm of God. This kind of insanity. You're an athlete. You're a QB. You're going to be judged on your performance every single week, good and bad. So if we're going to be fair, I'm going to be fair. If he does great, I'll be the first person to salute him, and I'll be in his corner 100%. If he craps out, I'm going to let you know that too. That's my deal with you moving forward. I am going to call it as it is. Not going to be a fanboy. Comes out and throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't care. Did the Dolphins win? That's what I care about. Comes out the next week, throws for 100 yards and 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions, but the Dolphins win. That's what I care about. I want to see the team win. So unless you have a problem with that, which you shouldn't, let's continue with the show as I react to what the guys on Get Up said this morning about Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins' chances of being a Super Bowl contender. A Super Bowl contender. Let's continue.
Tua plays every game. The Dolphins will win the AFC East. Something that we haven't talked about a lot here. Is that an overreaction?
No, but I mean, if Tua plays every game is the big thing, right? Like, if he does, I think this offense can function at a very, very high level.
That's not even an if. You notice he goes, if he plays, this offense can perform at a very, very high level. We've already seen that. So there's no if there. He's on the field, the offense performs.
And I think that, we saw that last year. The issue has been his ability to stay on the field. If he can do it with the receivers he has around him, with the running back group he has around him, with the coaching staff he has around him, I think they're a serious threat to the Bills.
If you notice in these clips, and I want to be quiet while he was saying it, you're going to see a couple more. He's throwing to these receivers, Waddle and Tyreek, and they're wide the F open. Wide open. Is that a product of Tua throwing them open, or is that a product of these guys just being so hellaciously fast that they can blow by people? In any event, if the defenses that he's going to face this year haven't adjusted for that, he could put up those same kinds of numbers week after week.
To the Jets, to the Patriots in that AFC East.
The only reason why I say that is because here, all we've talked about is Aaron Rodgers and the Jets Super Bowl contender. So, Tim,
That's because on that show, Get Up, it's hosted by Mike Greenberg, who's a dyed-in-green, loyal New York Jets fan. That's why you keep hearing it.
Tua stays healthy, it's Miami, a Super Bowl contender. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with Dan on that. I think they would be. Look, you just look at the additions on defense, including defensive coordinator. You look at the talent, as Dan mentioned, that they have at the skill positions around Tua. How Tua played last year. You think about it. A year ago, we were talking about, can he throw it far enough down the field to use these wide receivers? He proved that he can play at a high level. The challenge ends up being the injury concern here is completely different than it is with any other player.
Now, hold on. I disagree. Everybody keeps saying that the injury focus is on Tua. That given if Tua is healthy, everything else goes fine. That's not true. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle have to stay healthy as well. So there's three people on this offense that are critical that if any one of those three guys goes down, could be a spoke missing off the four wheels of the Miami Dolphins wagon. Don't forget that. All of them have to stay healthy.
Less than a year ago, within the last 6 months, we're talking about, look, does he need to step away from the sport? But I just think the antennas are going to be up every time he gets hit, every time he falls back. It's just the nature of the world we live in now with this sport and with this position. And I think that is the thing that is probably the biggest concern, not, hey, how are they going to utilize these offensive weapons? What's this offense going to look like under Mike McDaniel in year two? Like, I just think that his health, there's going to be a microscope on it in terms of every hit he takes.
Every single hit he takes, every announcer at every single game is going to focus on Tua getting up, how he looks, how he bounces back, his next throw. Was his throw off by 2 yards? Was it too far, too short? Once he gets hit, forget the jiu-jitsu. That's out the window. He's on the field. Once he gets hit, everybody in the stands, everybody on television, and the announcers in the booth are going to focus on, one, did he get up? And number two, his performance after he got hit. Count on that.
Bill, I got to come to you because that division is just loaded with quarterbacks. I mean, you got Josh Allen. Now Aaron Rodgers is there. Are we sleeping on Tua and the Dolphins?
I think so. I mean, this was a quarterback who was...
Who is sleeping on Tua and the Dolphins? Some journo in New York? What are you, absurd? That is the most absurd statement I've heard in quite some time, that they're worried about people sleeping on the Miami Dolphins.
Number one in the NFL in QBR last year. They went 8-3 when Tua played and was able to finish the game without getting injured. They were a legitimate Super Bowl contender last year when Tua was healthy and playing at a high level. And now you bring in all the...
Look at that difference, that separation, that Tua. Yeah, the guy fell, but he fell because he couldn't keep up with Tyreek right there. Those are the things I think defenses are going to adjust to so that the Dolphins don't have those breakaway scoring opportunities.
Defensive additions to this roster. They traded for Bradley Chubb last year. He gets a full offseason. They trade for Jalen Ramsey.
Look there. Look at that separation. Yeah, that ball's underthrown, but he's already a few yards behind the guy. Something happened early in the year versus at the end of the year in terms of those opportunities weren't there. So hopefully Mike McDaniel and the camera onto his helmet are going to help him adjust because those weren't there.
This offseason, they might have the best cornerback room in all of football, and then you've got...
Look at that one. Wide open separation coming across, and then once Jalen Waddle's in full speed coming across, this guy here has already taken a bad angle. He's toast.
I'll go out and get Vic Fangio, the most influential defensive coordinator in football. A guy who, last time he was a DC in the NFL, carried Mitch Trubisky and Chase Daniel to a division title and the postseason. So you got to figure, if they get Tua playing at a high level for most of the season, if not all the season, that's going to be a legitimately impressive team in the AFC East.
Certainly got to tighten up that defense. I think they were 24th in scoring defense, 27th in pass.
Is anybody worried about the defense? Seriously. Well, that's a useless stat right there. There's nobody I know worried about Vic Fangio's defense with the weapons they've brought in.
What do you?
That's why, I mean, Fangio, like, there were a lot of teams trying to get him this offseason, and the Dolphins outbid them all. Like, he's going to make a lot more money than defensive coordinators usually make. So that tells you what kind of priority it is and tells you what kind of effect they think he can have on that defense.
So is that a deal? I'll call it as I see it. Tua does well. Fantastic. Tua does bad, I'm going to let you know. Let's just say the Miami Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders for the 2023 season. Not going to worry about the unforeseen. All we can look at is what's right in front of us. Tua is healthy. He's going to be playing. He's a starting quarterback. Nobody else is coming in. All the speculation is done. It's game time. Essentially, mini camp opens today. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Then you got training camp. Then you got the games. It's all on Tua. That's all you can say. I'll be right back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And yes, I do wear a Movado watch. Awesome watch. Beautiful. I get all kinds of compliments on it when I'm out in restaurants and things. So if you want to get a decent timepiece, look at a Movado watch. You won't be sorry. All right. So as we go into the B block here, I'm going to be talking about Shannon Sharpe. Seems like everybody is talking about Shannon Sharpe and his divorce with Skip Bayless. It's been so funny to watch because over the last week or so, they've had to do the show together. And it's like two people living in a house and the divorce papers are coming in a couple days and you're trying to make nice for the next week or whatever it is. At this point, they're getting a divorce. Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe are going their own ways. And I think that right now, Shannon Sharpe is a huge media commodity. So we're going to talk about what's happened from his own words. We're going to do some reaction to some of the things that he said and some of the things that other people have said. And then we're going to look at who his possible replacements are. So let's get to it.
Mad Dog, people look at things and like you can have like 15 great years and somebody have a bad moment and they're willing to throw all of that away. I wasn't willing to throw that the 2 months that Skip and we disagreed a lot. Sometimes I think things got.
No, they just didn't disagree. They would actually, I would watch some of their shows and Shannon Sharpe, who's a hothead as it is, would get actually pissed off at some of the stuff that Skip Bayless would say. Now, Skip would say some outrageous crap, but he took it personal.
Went over the line.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm learning something.
And so I didn't want that. And so
if you've ever seen his show, you know that Skip Bayless indeed took things over the line quite a few times.
Appreciate everything Skip had done for me, bringing me there, giving me an opportunity to show that I was just more than a football player. I could talk about more in the sports world than just football. So I wasn't willing to throw that away. Skip and I just needed to get into a room and talk, and calmer heads prevailed.
All right, and
yeah, you know why calmer heads prevailed? Money. once they started talking about buyout and he saw those dollars, kind of calmer heads prevailed. Hey, Shannon, we're going to give you a big check to get rid of you. And when we get rid of you, you're going to get this check. But for the next week or two, sit down, make nice with Skip, and continue these episodes.
Is the relationship better now?
We're great. We're great. Look, Skip and I, we don't have the type of relationship that Skip and Stephen A. had, because Skip and Stephen A. came from the same world. They had been
both writers,
both journalists. They're trained. They see what they see through the journalist's eyes.
So he's talking to Mad Dog Russo. I just got some superimposed video so I don't get the big smackdown by, I think it's, I don't know, FS1, whatever it is. But he's talking to Mad Dog, and he's basically, in his own words, telling you what happened between he and Skip. Now, on the other side of the coin is, you got to read between the lines here. I look at this as there was a power struggle.
I'm an ex-athlete. I see things through an athlete's eyes. And so for me, we see things differently. That's why we work on the show.
I have so many problems with fanboys get into so many arguments on Twitter because they look at things from the perspective of fans. They see things from the bleachers looking in. I try to talk from the field looking out, given my experience. Now, I'm not a Hall of Famer and I don't have 3 Super Bowl rings, but I've spent enough time on a field to understand that it's different. It's a different perspective than somebody sitting in the bleachers and talking on Twitter. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people butt heads with it. They call you a casual, whatever that means. And the problem is, it is a completely different perspective, even between an athlete and a journo who's been around for 20, 25, 30 years. Stephen A., Skip Bayless, these guys have been fixtures. I mean, absolute fixtures on ESPN and now on FS1. But neither one of them have ever strapped on a chin strap. Never happened. So he does bring a different perspective. That's also why I like Emmanuel Acho as well.
He sees things one way, I see things another way. But I think the thing is that Skip and that I conveyed to Skip is that, look, we can disagree, but I want to color between the lines. I don't want the disagreement to go outside of the lines.
And when that color he's talking about is where it bleeds in, is because sometimes Shannon can become a firebrand for the racial stuff that's going on outside of the sports world, and he brings it onto the set, and he's talking to a white guy, and he's trying to tell this white guy how black people react, and obviously Skip's going to push back. So in my mind, there wouldn't be a lot of crossing of the lines if you just kept it to sports. Just keep it to the actual games, man. There's enough news out there talking about politics. Can't we just keep it, within sports? And if you're not going to keep it within sports, that's what you've got your YouTube channel for. Shannon's got a great channel. He talks to all kinds of people. He's very opinionated. And, people can tune into that to hear your political aspirations and your political beliefs. But, talking to Skip Bayless, they just want to hear, X's and O's from a fanboy perspective.
And you thought there for a little while it did?
Yeah, I did. I think everybody thought that.
I did not realize that.
Mad Dog, come on. Everybody realized that. You knew that. You knew that the two of them butted heads on a few different, how can I say it, social issues.
And Skip has a, up and down reputation. Overall, though, he's done a great job for your career.
Yeah.
Stephen A. swears by him, too.
Yeah, man. You done a great job by my...
Stephen A. swears by him. Of course he does. The two of them used each other to make millions, absolute millions of dollars. So one of my favorite news media characters is Sir Charles Barkley, and he doesn't hold anything back. He doesn't really care. Fire me if you want. I make $20 million a year. I bring great ratings to TNT, and I'm going to tell you what I think. And so he's going to weigh in on the Shannon Sharpe matter in only the way that Sir Charles Barkley can.
I don't do social media, so I get all my information off Bleacher Report. I read an article today.
You read something?
I did.
Okay.
If you work with a damn idiot, they'll buy you out.
If you work with a damn idiot, they'll buy you out. So he's talking about Shannon Sharpe getting a big check because he's working with the guy, obviously, Barkley considers a big idiot to be Skip Bayless.
So, I'm saying, I read it. I saw it. I'm just saying. I'm telling you, Shaq, it's not you. It's not you. It's not you. It's not Ernie. It's Kenny. But apparently, if you work with a damn idiot, they'll buy you out. Okay. So I just want y'all to know I'm open to the buyout.
The company can't afford the buyout.
That's probably true.
I've never had a buyout. You hear about them from time to time. I wouldn't know.
I saw it on Bleacher Report. It's got to be true.
Got to be true.
That's probably true. They can't afford to buy out Sir Charles Barkley. So in this clip, we have ESPN's newest edition, a guy who's going the other way, going from a YouTube podcast to a broadcast show, which a lot of people are having a problem with. But hey, hats off, man. If it works for you, it works for you. This is Pat McAfee and his crew talking about the whole Shannon Sharpe thing.
Is potentially on the move. Now, we will miss Shannon Sharpe with Skip Bayless. Okay? All of us will.
Sure. No. I won't miss it.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I'm saying I won't miss it.
How come?
What are you talking about? What is that even? You
Great
won't?
TV.
Skip and Shannon,
What do you
so
mean?
well together.
Skip his asshole.
Bing.
If you didn't hear him, he said Skip's an asshole.
No, which is why.
What about Shannon?
Bingo.
Another asshole.
Oh, God, he didn't pull any punches. He said they're both assholes.
Shannon, no, I'm joking.
No,
Shannon is my dude, but like I won't miss Skip, bro. Like I talk to Shannon, but like ain't gonna miss Skip.
Yeah,
Skip
I think
gonna miss Shannon.
there's been a lot of people that have kind of come to that same conclusion where they're like, hey, Skip has had a really long run. You know, I don't know if anybody said this, an incredible run.
Great run.
Changed sports media forever, Skip did. Actually, and I think he probably understands that and knows that. But a lot of people think at this stage of the game, with how great Shannon was on that particular program, which is why I will miss it, because watching Skip get a chance with Shannon, like that's good. Shannon's great. So it's like a good adversary partner work, which we didn't know what it was. A lot of people are saying that Skip might, this might be the
fade off.
Yeah. I would never say that.
No, too much money on the table. Skip's going to find a new host, a new partner, and he'll start up all over again. This kind of news can continue on and on and on. Hot takes are here to stay.
I would never say that about Skip Bayless.
People are saying that.
People
on the
are saying that, though, and I don't think they understand the power of Skip Bayless.
Yes.
I don't think they understand. Skip Bayless will find a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Skip Bayless will.
He can find his cheese.
Well, he will continue to do his thing. But Shannon being available is that's a narrative shifter for a place. That's a potential massive asset to a platform that maybe wants to launch, which as experiencing the space a little bit from a business standpoint.
Twitter.
A few months back, there's a lot of places that are trying to get into the sports media world. There's
Twitter.
A lot of places that are trying to launch their thing who have rights to stuff either in the future or planning on getting rights, but a lot of money behind them. A lot.
So can you imagine, of course you've heard the stories about Tucker Carlson and him going, on Twitter and doing some sort of show. I could see Shannon Sharpe partnering up with Elon Musk. Forget the networks. Forget that shit. And doing a live show for a couple hours a day directly on Twitter. Home run, huge money, probably would break the bank.
A lot of money behind them. So
money.
it's like Shannon is going to be in a really good spot here, I think.
Yeah.
And I hope to hell he comes to ESPN. And when I say come to ESPN, we're not even at ESPN.
No, I don't want to go to ESPN. If I'm Shannon Sharpe, I'm like, nope, I am not going back to you guys. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take the big bucks of Twitter and Elon Musk. I'm going to create something of my own. I'm going to dwarf you guys in terms of the money I can bring in.
Oh, but we're going to be there. And if Shannon Sharpe is to be there, and you start talking about like what a day could look like, that's fucking awesome,
sir.
Yeah. And I am very excited about it,
I would imagine Shannon already has some things in the works because sounds like he stepped away on his own. He reached an agreement, right? Like a mutual agreement to part ways.
Buyout.
So, buyout. Man. So I want to see these episodes now, though. How many episodes do they have together knowing that he's going?
They were on today. Yeah, it seems like they might have worked themselves into a shoot, brother.
Yeah.
Through the finals. So probably like 2 or 3 weeks. It really just depends on how the series goes.
What was the...
Yeah, buyout. Buyout equals big money. And then once you're free of that with that buyout, you can go negotiate with anybody. So Amazon already has things in the works with the NFL. There aren't many suitors who've got that kind of money. Elon Musk got bank.
A tipping point, at what stage did it become no, we're not going to be able to do it anymore?
There was a few.
And this is a lot of, obviously, drama talk, but it could directly affect our lives, which I hope happens. Shannon's a weapon.
Yes.
A real talent, and we're happy for him. Good luck out there.
Go get him, Shannon.
Good luck out there.
One of the guys that people are mentioning that could be Shannon Sharpe's replacement, who's been doing a little bit of media stuff on his own channel, is Marcellus Wiley. Marcellus Wiley is affable. He can deliver lines. And I'm going to show you a video he posted. He's got sunglasses on because he had pink eye, but he's got some really good, I don't know, introspective viewpoints on what happened between Shannon and Skip Bayless. Take a listen.
Here's the real of what's going on over there and why we even got here. Skip Bayless runs that show, and he's always run that show. And by the stripes on his sleeve, he should run that show. Skip Bayless was the first one in that door. Him and Colin Cowherd both leaving ESPN to come start FS1, right? So you got to give him respect for that in terms of the daily shows. With that risk comes a great reward, including the power that Skip Bayless has. Not only does Skip Bayless make the most money over there, but he has the most power in terms of how he runs his show. Colin runs his show, but also Colin will be a little more open-minded into the terms of his show. A little more, but not.
Now, he's speaking from firsthand experience. So what he's giving you there is some inside baseball on these huge shows.
Skip, oh, no. So here's the problem. That's not the problem. Skip is here. Shannon started here, used the relationship with Skip Bayless to get there, right? And then Shannon started to get way more popular. How about this? More popular than Skip Bayless, some would say. Based on
I would say that. I for sure would say that Shannon Sharpe at this point, his Q score is a lot higher than Skip Bayless.
On the podcast numbers, the new generation numbers, social media numbers, like Shannon is popping, even more than you, Skip. So when you're doing this in your real world, in your outer show world, but inside the borders and structure of the show you're on, that's giving you all this jet fuel, nothing's changing. Even when you surpass Skip Bayless, you still have to be under him in terms of the show.
He no longer wants to be the opening act. Shannon Sharpe no longer wants to open for Guns N' Roses. He doesn't want to go on a stadium tour and be the opening act while people are still getting their beers for Metallica. No. I'm the headliner now. I want headliner money, and more important, I want headliner status, and I want to be seen as the headliner.
Other than the disrespect, and I shouldn't even say other than, in addition to the disrespect that we've seen multiple times from Skip Bayless, told the dude to put his damn glasses on, and he put them on.
He actually did that.
Shannon had multiple times had to ask Skip, can he talk? Like, they're not talking like friends. They're not even talking like friends that are beefing. They're talking like strangers, like in a way. And Skip knew he can always talk to Shannon, the Hall of Famer, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, because he knew he controlled the show.
If you control the show, you control the access, you control the time, you control the content, everything. And because it was essentially Skip Bayless's show, that made Shannon a second fiddle. He's absolutely right.
But more than that, Skip also felt that he could control the show and control Shannon's job security.
Now, that's a big one. You know, there were probably some off-camera conversations where Skip may have said at one point or another, I can replace you. I mean, we've heard Stephen A. say it to Max Kellerman and some other people, or rumored to have heard that. But there's no doubt Skip Bayless, with the type of personality he has, may have, if he didn't say it, he definitely inferred it.
That's why this has now come to a head, because Shannon finally just smelled the roses, finally just took a big inhale and was like, dog, why do I have to deal with all of this? We have the incidents, obviously. We know when we went back to the Hamlin tweets. We know we got the incidents with...
Now, he's talking about with DeMar Hamlin when he got hurt and almost died on the field. And Skip made a very insensitive tweet that Shannon Sharpe took personally, and then they beefed about it. It didn't need to go there. At one point, I thought it was choreographed, that the whole thing was AstroTurf. But Shannon was really pissed.
Tom Brady. We can go through that, but watch my old video 4 months ago if you want to know about all that. What I'm telling you right now, and I am not a prognosticator like an expert. I can't just predict this stuff. But I can look at simple, tried truths. I can look at human emotions and relationships and simply just come to a summation. This wasn't hard to figure out if you had the proper information.
And I'm sure that Marcellus Wiley, with what he's gone through with these broadcast networks, absolutely had that knowledge.
I used to work there. I was privy to that information that most of you guys weren't. So putting this all together, what?
And notice what he just said. That's a very important thing. I think a lot of people miss that. When I used to work there, when you're an employee, you have to, toe the line. You have to be that guy the way they want you to be. So right now, Marcellus Wiley, like myself, we don't have to answer to anybody. It's a very comforting fact to know that, hey, listen, if you want to drink something during the show and just have a drink, if you want to put stuff like your former jerseys and Compton to Columbia in the background, if I want to, show my background and show that, hey, listen, this is, my home studio, and I don't want it decorated like a fanboy type place. It's not a man cave. It's where I come in here to do work. It's where I come in here to buy real estate. It's where I come in here to, just get away. It's where my wife, her desk is over here so she can do her contracts. I don't work for anybody, so I don't have to worry about what it looks like and who cares about the background and whether or not I've got her picture, and it doesn't matter. You're not going to have that freedom when you're on a set of a show that you work at.
There was a power struggle. There was a power dynamic that shifted right before their very eyes, and they didn't want to adjust to. And I say they because I'm sure that Shannon wanted to adjust it. It's just Skip was stuck in his ways. So now Skip is going to be stuck without the uber popular co-host named Shannon Sharpe.
And that's absolutely true. He's not going to have Shannon Sharpe there much longer. But that doesn't stop other people from looking at this as a huge opportunity. And probably the biggest opportunist in the hot take market is Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith sees an opportunity, and he's going to go for it. So he's going to film a video directly recruiting Shannon Sharpe. Take a listen.
And that I don't know what his plans are. I don't know what he's trying to pursue. I don't know what he's after. But if Shannon Sharpe needs me...
He doesn't. That's just it. He just walked away from Skip Bayless. Why would he go back into the frying pan and be a second fiddle, a minstrel for Stephen A. Smith, who churns out hosts left and right and spits them out? Why would he want to come on Stephen A. Smith's show and help elevate Stephen A. Smith? I think that would be a huge mistake. He wants to be the star. He doesn't want to be the sidekick right now. And Stephen A. knows the threat that Shannon Sharpe is bringing to the table at this point. He just saw that Pat McAfee made a crap load of money coming from YouTube to ESPN. He knows that because Stephen A.'s podcast is just starting. He's getting great numbers, but he's way behind Shannon Sharpe in terms of his podcast. So this is a point in media where some of the established guys are looking around and going, hey man, I need to align myself with some of these new media type guys. These new media type guys are really making stuff happen. And so Stephen A is going to throw his hat in the ring and say, come on over here.
I'm happy to be here for him. And if that included him wanting to come on First Take, the bosses at ESPN know that is something I would support.
So he's already talked to Jimmy Pitaro and some of the guys at ESPN said, hey, man, if you can get Shannon Sharpe to come on my show, M-Y, my show, not Shannon Sharpe show, but if you can get him to come on my show, I would support it. Of course you would. The ratings would be through the roof. But Shannon ain't going there, man. Shannon ain't going to go and be second fiddle to another person. Not with his star on the rise. I just don't see it. I just don't think it's in the cards for Shannon Sharpe to go and play second fiddle to Stephen A. Smith. I think he's going to get an offer. I really think, I hope that he sees an offer from Elon Musk and they take on these networks and he does a Twitter live show. So now on Twitter, people have been talking about who could be Shannon Sharpe's replacement. There's a whole bunch of people that are probably in the running for it. Let's take a look at a video that talks about some of these potential suitors for Skip Bayless. So number one, they're talking about Mad Dog Russo, who's on First Take with Stephen A quite a bit, also has his own serious show. I don't see this happening. Only because of the optics. I'm pretty sure they don't want to put one white guy, Skip Bayless, opposite another white guy, Mad Dog Russo. It just doesn't work out. Number two, forget Nick Wright. I don't even know why people talked about it. I don't see that, basically for the same aforementioned reasons. Number three, Kendrick Perkins could indeed be a host with Skip Bayless. He's a flamethrower. You know about the fight or rift that he and JJ Redick got into on First Take. He fits the bill of the angry black guy that could come in and joust with Skip Bayless, whether it's fake or not. But yeah, I could see that happening. Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson. He's been on I Am Athlete a few times, but I don't think he has the chops. I think he's going to have to get his own podcast or something and show that he can carry an audience and actually have a conversation that people would want to hear. Now, there's a guy. There's a firebrand. There's a firebrand who's got the chops. He knows how to talk, definitely knows the game. Another Hall of Famer. I would definitely look at Ray Lewis. And he's not on this list because he's been basically put in absentia, but another one could be Michael Irvin. If NFL Network and ESPN don't want him, FS1 could pair him up with Skip Bayless, and he'd be awesome. So Ray Lewis or Michael Irvin, I think, would be the top choices to step in the absence of Shannon Sharpe. God, no. I think this guy's got too much of a chip on his shoulder about Michael Jordan. He obviously knows basketball, but does he know the other sports? Can he talk about baseball? Can he talk about football? I'm not sure, and I don't think he'd be a fan favorite. As we spoke, Marcellus Wiley. But I think Marcellus is really starting to come into his own on his own podcast. He's got those properties. Maybe he still needs a little bit more popularity. So he may be somebody who could then work with Skip Bayless. God knows he can talk. He's engaging. He's affable as well. I think that Marcellus Wiley would be my third choice after Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin. Number 8, not a chance. Not a chance that Tom Brady is going to sit across from Skip Bayless, especially when he's getting ready to go into ownership with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't even know how if he can be an owner with the Raiders and be in a broadcast booth at the same time. Whether or not he can be objective, people will always think that he can't. So Tom Brady, I don't even know why Twitter was talking about that. Let's just go ahead and take him off the list. So let me know what you think about Shannon Sharpe splitting with Skip Bayless, and where do you think he's headed, and who would make a good replacement for Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed? Or do you even care? Many of you may not even care. Many of you may not even watch the show. Let me know in a comment. I'll be right back. I don't know how many of you are avid golfers, if you even golf at all. I live in a gated community on a golf course, so this story really struck me. LIV, the Saudi Arabian golf organization, has decided to merge with the PGA. This exploded today, and it's worth billions. I mean, billions of dollars. So let's take a listen to how both organizations, LIV and the PGA, discuss this on CNBC. That's how you know this is a big financial deal, that they had to discuss it on CNBC first thing this morning. So we're going to react to that. There's some real big nuggets in here.
PGA Tour and its Saudi-backed competitor LIV Golf, along with Europe's DP World Tour, have agreed to merge in expectation of creating a global entity for the game of golf. The agreement, which is not yet a definitive agreement, ends the hostility between LIV and the PGA, along with the litigation between the parties. And
it's amazing how money can make all kinds of hostilities and litigation go away.
It calls for the giant Saudi sovereign wealth fund, PIF, which created LIV, to invest significant, I'm told, what will be billions of dollars into the new entity. That's over time. The PGA, which is currently a not-for-profit, will contribute its commercial business and rights into a new for-profit company, and will gain or will continue to have governance rights over that new entity. I had a chance to sit down with the key players behind the deal, PIF Governor Yasser Al-Rumayyan and PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan. Of course, just seeing these two together makes one wonder, well, how in the world did this come about?
Right.
Listen, I think today is it's a historical day for the PGA Tour and the game of golf. And it's a historical day for the PIF and the DP World Tour. And you're right, you know, there's been a lot of tension in our sport over the last couple of years. But what we're talking about today is coming together to unify the game of golf and to do so under one umbrella. And David, the way that we're doing that is we're creating a for-profit LLC.
You bet your ass you are. You're dealing with the Saudis. You're about to put billions of dollars in the bank.
That the PIF is going to invest in alongside the DP World Tour. And together, we're going to move forward and we're going to take efforts to grow and expand this great game and to take it to new heights. And so what's happened today, and to your earlier question, is we've recognized that together we can have a far greater impact on this game than we can working apart. And I give Yasser great credit for coming to the table, coming to the discussions with an open heart and an open mind. We did the same, and the game of golf is better for what we've done here today.
Now, many of you are just football fans who watch my channel, but as I said, I'm going to be broadening out my content, and this is the biggest story in sports right now. Not the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets, not the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. This golf merger between LIV and the PGA is historic. It's hugely profitable, and it has mended a rift, or will mend a rift, between the different golfers out there and their association with one or the other tour. Now, there's going to be some real pissed off golfers, because guys like Tiger Woods turned down, I heard, like $900 million to join LIV. If he had taken that money and joined LIV, now they're the same, but he's out that $900 million. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they fix that.
Yasser, give me some sense here as to how this came about, how the first call was made, and how you were able to find common ground, again, given what had been...
You want some money?
In a particularly difficult history between the PGA and LIV.
We met in London. We had a lunch, followed by the next day a round of golf, then another lunch. We had discussions. We covered everything. And one of the things that I said then, had we met 2 or 3 years ago, the impact that we will have in the game of golf would be lesser.
Why?
because it would be something small. But the way we're doing our partnership, it's going to be really big.
Imagine that had he been alive right now, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, they have fantastic careers separate away from the Beatles. But if they had announced, a few years ago that they were getting the Beatles back together, that's the kind of ramifications. That's kind of what he's saying. A couple years ago, it would have been tough. Things wouldn't have been the way they are. But now we are the Beatles. We are the Beatles. One of these guys is John Lennon and the other is Paul McCartney. And they just announced to the world the Beatles are getting back together, per se. It's of that magnitude in the golf world.
In many senses, we will have both the LIV and the PGA Tour in addition to all of our assets, and we will be investing in the growth of the game of golf and doing many new things that I think will have a better engagement from the players, the fans, the broadcasters, the sponsors, everyone else. And
money.
Hopefully to even give a better access for more and more people to the game of golf. The way we would love to make the game of golf very much accessible, just like any other sport, just like football, basketball, any other sport.
Mm-hmm. Every sport is now looking at being a global sport. They're no longer happy with just the United States market. They're looking at being global participatory events.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we don't have right now and today.
Right. Well, Jay, from your perspective, first you had a meeting, Jimmy Dunn obviously had this meeting, and it kind of went from there. Give our viewers now a sense as to the structure of this. And you've talked a bit about the fact that you're a nonprofit, but you're going to create a for-profit. Correct. You're going to merge, essentially.
Correct, yes.
And be...
We used to be nonprofit. Now we're in bed with the Saudis, and we're going to form a for-profit company. Duh.
A for-profit company, correct?
Yes. So the C6 still stays in place, and out of the C6, we'll continue to operate our tours. We'll put our player retirement plans and assets there. So that stays in place. I think it's very important. One of the things that's important to both of us is every single week we're playing tournaments, we're making a huge impact on the communities where, we're invited guests. That continues. And at the C6 level, you take the assets of the PGA Tour, the PIF's assets and LIV, and with the Asian Tour and the DP World Tour, take all those commercial assets, drop them down into that for-profit LLC. This is early. We're going to go through an evaluation of all.
I bet they go public. I would almost bet a year or two down the road, they take this entire thing public, and it's just going to be a monstrous opportunity for them.
Or evaluation of all of the businesses. And
valuation. When you start looking in advance of valuation, it's not just for profit, it's for investors.
And the PIF will invest in NewCo. And importantly, as Yasser is quick to point out, there'll be an additional investment in growth initiatives. And that's what's really exciting here.
Yasser, we're talking about potentially billions of dollars being invested from the PIF, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Billions. Not billion, not maybe a billion, billions. And the Saudis have, oh my God, so much money.
Over what period of time?
That's an excellent question. So the first step is today. The second one is the definitive agreement. Then we are creating the board, and the governance of the whole thing is we will evaluate every proposal that will come to us at the board level. So,
can you imagine having a partner with literally unlimited amounts of money? There's nothing you can do to stop. You can't drain their bank account. Your partner has more money than anybody in the world, and they continue to print it. Every time you go to a gas station, you're just giving the Saudis and people in the Middle East more and more and more money. They have nothing to do with it but to create these type of partnerships.
Whatever it takes. That's how much is the commitment that we are committed for.
Do you expect to consolidate all these other entities as well? Are you creating one entity for global golf, essentially?
Exactly. That's the idea. And the potential.
Global golf. They want it everywhere. And so today on Twitter, people were complaining, as people do on Twitter, and they were talking about the guy that got murdered, Jamal Khashoggi, as if anybody cares anymore. This is about the game of golf. I'm sorry the guy got cut up, murdered, dismembered, and strewn across the lake or whatever. But you're not going to go backwards. You can complain all you want. This is a huge, huge deal. And unfortunately, and I do say unfortunately, money talks.
There is really big. I mean, if you look at the size of golf, monetary-wise, it's about 100 billion.
100 billion. And they're talking about the valuation of the market currently. And of course, that's going to skyrocket with what these guys are going to be doing
today. And I think the growth is there. And I think we can, working together, we can have a faster growth rate than the way it was for the past, 10 or 20 years.
David, if I could add, I think when you look at the game on a global basis, there are now more people playing the game outside the U.S. than playing inside the United States.
You keep hearing that. You keep hearing about the growth of the sports market. And one of the things they keep saying is that there are more people playing outside of the U.S. than are in the U.S. in terms of playing golf. The rest of the world is caught on. That's the same reason why these corporations are so beholden to these foreign markets. There are more consumers in these other areas than there are in the U.S. And so they're doing everything they can, albeit some of it quite kooky and crazy, to appease these global markets.
Okay, you look at everything that has transpired in terms of the forms of distribution, Topgolf, and all the other ways that people can interface with our sport. There are now people off-course, more off-course participants than on-course participants, and that combined audience in the U.S. is 48% under the age of 35.
Wow. 48% of the U.S. population under the age of, let me get that right. The golf enthusiast is 48% under the age of 35. That's a huge movement towards a younger market.
Reaching a younger demographic at a time when the sport has never been more popular, and doing so by coming together to collaborate at this point in time, that's where we see the commonality and purpose, and that's where we see this huge opportunity.
As he said, that's where they see this huge opportunity. What an understatement. This is taking the sports world by storm today. I'd love to know if you even care. I know most of you are just football fans, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I hope there's a lot of people out there who enjoy golf that may see this. And right now, we just saw a huge, huge global moment for the world of golf. Let me know what you think. I'll be right back. We got one more segment. So in this last segment, I'm going to talk to you about Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac plays for, I believe, the Orlando Magic, and he was one of the guys who bucked the entire BLM movement. He didn't kneel. He didn't wear the T-shirts. He stood up. He's a young Christian man, and he decided to start his own clothing brand. And I'm doing this video because I support him 100%. Take a listen to what he says about his new clothing brand.
Hollywood going woke was pretty easy to see coming. But what happened next, no one expected. Sports went woke.
I never thought I'd see it happen. Never thought I'd see it happen.
See that guy standing while everyone else is kneeling? That's Jonathan Isaac. He plays for the Orlando Magic in the NBA. He also happened to be one of the few NBA players who publicly expressed discomfort with supporting the Black Lives Matter movement.
And he caught a lot of flack for that. And how, as a black man, you're not supporting this scam organization called BLM? And you know it was a scam. You found out it was a scam. That's just been uncovered lately. The whole thing was BS. They stole money from all kinds of corporations and donors, and it was a huge scam. And Jonathan Isaac never bought into it.
This all came to a head when the players on his team decided to collectively kneel during the national anthem. So he did what he felt was right. He stood. Now, Jonathan is launching his own apparel company called Unite Us in hopes of bringing people together over love of God and country.
Love of God and country. Those are two causes I can get behind 100%. I'm playing this video. I'm not going to interrupt once he starts talking because I want you to hear what this young man has to say.
Unitas is a sports and apparel company, and the basis of it for me is freedom. You have companies that are in that field who have made a conscious decision to either attack or undermine Christian values, conservative values and things like that. And I think that they have the free choice to do so, as much as I disagree. But I feel that we also have a freedom to create what we want to create.
Ooh, left to right, show me what you moving like. Ooh, feeling right, keep it moving side to side.
The hope is to be able to sign athletes across all different sports and to create a real infrastructure of people who are in the sports world. Moms and dads who want to buy their kids sneakers and clothes, but want to give their money to a company that they know is going to work towards bolstering their values.
Ooh, ready to go, up in the way, moving the tide, starting the way.
We can be proud of what we believe in. We don't have to hide or be ashamed of it. As the day continues to get, darker and darker and crazier, you standing up for what you believe in is only going to get harder, but it's only going to become more and more necessary.
Ooh, roll the dice. Oh, you want to try? Ooh, left to right. Hey, it's time to slide. Hey, one time. Hey, two times. Hey, oh my, keep it moving side to side.
But it didn't end in sports.
Nope, it didn't begin in sports, didn't end in sports. It's now in our schools. They're attacking our kids. They're forcing things down our throat. We've got this entire month of June to have nothing but ideological propaganda pushed upon us. And when I see a guy like Jonathan Isaac doing something in the face of all that just craziness, insanity that we see daily, where people think it's okay or think it's even possible for a man to become a woman, for drag queens to go into schools. This stuff is nuts. And I support him for standing up in a league like the NBA, who's tied in with China, who does just the craziest stuff that they support, who, what the NBA is all about. So if you see this kid's, again, I shouldn't call him a kid, he's a grown-ass man. If you see his brand in a store, anywhere, I would encourage you to support Unitas. I would support Jonathan Isaac. I hope you feel the same way. Thanks for watching today. Just remember his name. If anything you've seen in this show you want to take away from this, please remember Unitas and Jonathan Isaac. Talk to you soon, maybe even tomorrow.